Are demons a real deck in Pioneer now thanks to some new Duskmourn additions? That's what we're going to find out today. Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another edition of Much Abrew About Nothing. And this week, we're heading to Pioneer to play some demons. That's right, thanks to some new Duskmourn additions, apparently demons might actually be kinda competitive for the first time, ever in their history. So let's talk about Pioneer demons, what the deck's trying to do, jump into some games, see the deck in action. So we kick things off with our demons, and we don't have a ton of demons, but the ones we do have are really, really impactful. Archfiend of the Dross, just a super undercosted 4-mana 6/6 flyer. Sure, if it runs out of oil counters, we could die to it, but in practice, that doesn't usually happen. Our opponent dies, or it dies, before we actually run out of oil. Its last ability, whenever one of our opponent's creatures die, they lose 2 life, works really well with Bloodletter of Aclazotz, which is her most important demon. A 4-mana 2/4 flyer, that if our opponent would lose life during our turn, they lose twice as much life instead, which is really important for a reason we'll talk about in just a second. Our last demon is Mutavault, which is a little different than the first two, as a creature land that once it's a creature turns into a demon, but this is actually super important for turning on some of our demon synergies. So it's worth thinking of it being a demon, even though it doesn't really work like a big massive flyer like Archfiend of the Dross or Bloodletter of Aclazotz. So why are we playing demons? Well, answer number 1, Bloodletter of Aclazotz combos with Unstoppable Slasher. So Unstoppable Slasher, a 3-mana 2/3 with Death Touch. If it hits our opponent, they lose half of their life rounded up, and if it dies, it sort of comes back with stun counters, blah, 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 blah. So the idea is, we can play Unstoppable Slasher on turn 3, Bloodletter of Aclazotz on turn 4, hit our opponent with the Slasher, they lose half their life with Slasher, but they lose twice as much thanks to Bloodletter, so our opponent just dies, no matter what their life total is. And one of the reasons I think this deck is actually oddly strong is we can play like a fair mono black mid-range deck essentially, with good removal, some good demons, and just kind of like kill your stuff and play a normal game of Magic. But we also have this scam kill essentially, where we can just combo off Splinter Twin style out of nowhere, and if you can't stop it, Unstoppable Slasher Bloodletter just kills you on the spot. So that's reason number 1 for demons. Reason number 2 for demons, and this one has caught me by surprise, and that's Unholy Annex Ritual Chamber. So this is one of the new room enchantments. It's Unholy Annex size, 3-mana enchantment. At the beginning of our end step, we draw a card. If we control a demon, each opponent loses 2 life, we gain 2 life. If we don't control a demon, we lose 2 life. One of the things I've learned playing this deck is we're kind of an Unholy Annex burn deck. Being able to play Unholy Annex, like this weird Phyrexian Arena, start drawing cards, and then have a demon like a Mutavault or a Bloodletter out, it actually gets our opponent's life total low super, super quickly, especially if we have Bloodletter, because it's happening during our turn, so every Unholy Annex on our end step is going to hit our opponent for 4 damage, so it's not as direct as like Unstoppable Slasher, Bloodletter of Aclazotz win the game, but if we go turn 3 Unholy Annex, turn 4 Bloodletter, and start just draining our opponent for 4 each turn, it actually adds up really, really quickly. And then Ritual Chamber for 5 mana just makes a 6/6 flying demon, so it synergizes with its front half. And this is why Mutavault's so important with the demons, because we'll have games where we have an Unholy Annex or maybe 2 Unholy Annexes, but we don't have an actual literal demon. We can just turn on our Mutavault, even if it's tapped, even if it can't attack, just have a demon on the battlefield to get that Unholy Annex damage and win the game. So that's kind of the demon plan. Otherwise, we get a ton of interaction. We have Duress and Thoughtseize to try to clear the way for our demons and Unstoppable Slashers, a bunch of removal for creatures and planeswalkers, Reckoner Bankbuster to draw some cards. In the mana base, we talked about the Mutavault, also have Fountain Port, Hive of the Eye Tyrant, so lands that can make creatures or turn into creatures, more card draw in Castle Lockwing, Field of Ruin to deal with our opponent's lands, Sunken Citadel to activate our lands on the cheap, 10 Numa to get demons back from the graveyard, and then a bunch of Golgari dual lands. And you're probably thinking, why is our mono black demon deck playing all these dual lands? And the answer is, we have a single green card in our sideboard, but it's a pretty important one in Back to Nature. So Back to Nature, for 2 mana, just blows up all enchantments. And enchantments have really been on the upswing in Pioneer thanks to Duskmourn, with people playing the new Overlords. We've seen some Aura decks and some Boggle style decks. So we're splashing into green just to have access to this super cheap instant speed enchantment sweeper. Otherwise, we get a bunch more removal, a bunch of sweepers, Liliana and Goblake for more discard against control, some unlicensors to deal with graveyard decks, and that is Demons for Pioneer. That's our Much Abrew deck for today. So let's jump into some board games and see the demons in action. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll be back in a bit for the wrap-up. Need some Magic cards? Well, you can snag them from our sponsor, Card Kingdom, over at cardkingdom.com/mtggoldfish. We are playing some mono black demons. Well, I guess technically, we got a mulligan this. Technically Golgari demons, but really, it's mono black demons. And we have the green mana to be able to destroy enchantments in our sideboard. Because guess what? Not every color needs enchantment removal. We have things called splashing. You can play another color that's good at doing something. Oh my god. we have just broken Magic Theory. So opponent's Luminarch Aspirant. Probably got to kill it. I would like to play a Bank Buster, but killing it's probably more important. Yeah, let's just... Oh, do we wait? Yeah, let's just Fatal Push it. Let's Fatal Push it. I don't know what taxing stuff they could have. Plus, we'd have to pay for this Paladin class. Gonna level up. Well, play the land, and I guess we just get down the Bank Buster. I like that we have a lot of removal. A little scared that we're not hitting lands cleanly, but see what our opponent has. Opponent, Chef of Dunes, and, well, there goes the Bank Buster. Opponent's playing mono white control over there. Mono white aggro control, and Hopeful Initiate. I mean, we have a Fatal Push for that, so we do get to kill it. I kind of wanted the Karn draw, though. Archfiend to the draws. Well, Fatal Push the Hopeful Initiate. We could fire up the Mutavault, but I don't think it's worth it. Well, our game plan is simple. Kill everything our opponent plays. I think that's our new game plan, and eventually we'll draw some lands. I don't know if I've ever seen level 3 on this. Whenever you attack, until end of turn, I can attack creatures +1/+1 for each attacking creature against... Oh, okay. I mean, if we just kill all the creatures, that doesn't really matter. Archfiend to the Dross? Can you beat a 6/6 opponent? And it flies. Demon number 1, assembled. Elite Spellbinder. They might have to take the Archfiend. Like, our opponent might be in a position where they're... All right, they take the March. Do you have more creatures? No. All right, so we lose an oil counter. Wow. Wow. Do we just play that in attack? Our plan was to kill everything. Do we stick to that plan? And you know what? We're just going to play another Archfiend. We're going to try to kill our opponent. We're just going to try to kill our opponent. Play another Archfiend, pass the turn. Opponent. Soul Partition. Going to bounce the Archfiend. And a Chef of Dunes. What are we, sacking the Dunes to... All right, so opponent's going to hit us for 5? Opponent hits us for 10 because of double strike. Well, we lose the oil counter. Yeah, I mean, each bonus acts a non-token creature. Get rid of the Elite Spellbinder. Opponent goes to 6. And then hopefully we just win with the Bloodletter. We might not even need the Bloodletter. Opponent needs to kill the Archfiend. Wow, GG's. GG's. All right. Well, demons got there. Archfiend to the draws. Didn't even get to the combo. Okay, so opponent, mono white aggro. Path of Peril, definitely in. Withering Torment, as dirty as it feels, probably in. Extinction Events, maybe Invoke Despairs. And then I think we go down all the Duresses. What else do we cut? All the Duresses down. Go down a Bank Buster. Go down a Bank Buster. You know what? Let's go down a Thoughtseize. Let's run it like that. I think that's fine. Is Liliana worth it? Yeah, I think that's fine. Let's run it like that. Well, I mean, game 1, it worked out. We managed to just kill enough stuff that our opponent couldn't kill us. No combo kill. That's one of the cool things about this deck. And one of the reasons I think it might end up being pretty good is good decks that can also combo kill tend to be very strong. Like combo control decks, combo aggro decks, combo mid-range decks. Those are some of the strongest decks historically in Magic, right? Like Splinter Twin is a combo control deck. You can win. There was a time when people would sideboard out their Splinter Twin, so there was no combo, and they would just be like a Jeskai control deck or whatever. Izzet control deck. I think that is one of the strongest places you'd be in Magic, is just decks that can combo, that also can play a fair game plan. And bonus points, and this is where I think, yeah, we're going to keep this. And this is where I think Splinter Twin failed a little bit, is bonus points if your combo pieces... If your combo pieces are... We need lands. are also good cards. Splinter Twin didn't really have that, but like our deck, our cards are actually kind of fine, right? They're, for the most part, cards that we want to be playing anyway. Yeah, let's just kill the Thalia. Worried about Brave the Elements. We need to hit a land here, though, like, for sure. If we don't hit a land here, we're in serious trouble. Opponent land and Luminarch Aspirant. Gonna start doing a little scaling. Land. Oh, the nightmare. The nightmare. Well, I think we might be in trouble. We even had the Surveil, too, to make sure we hit a land, and it wasn't enough. I mean, I think we have to keep this hand, right? We get a bunch of removal, we get a bunch of sweepers. All we gotta do is in our land drops. It wasn't like a one-lander, we had 2 lands, so I think it's a hand we have to keep. We can't not keep this hand. But that is Magic. Sometimes you don't draw your lands. Opponent not having that problem. Another Thalia. And wow, the worst time. It's like the Magic gods are mocking us. I think we have a single Hive of the Eye Tyrant. A single one coming off the top ropes at the least convenient time. Yeah, it is a one of. Opponent, Cavern of Souls on Phyrexian for some reason, and an Enduring Innocence. And a Dranith Wow, opponent has all kinds of weird taxing effects. And we don't draw land, and we will scoop it up. All right. Sometimes you miss your land drops, and you concede. That is a thing that happens occasionally in Magic the Gathering. I always say when games like that happen, some people's impulse is to bash the mana system, right? And I think that's so wrong. Like, Magic's been around for 30 years. I do not think Magic would be here without the mana system. It would be another one of those games that came and went. People played it for a few days, months, years, and then it faded away. Like, so many dead TCGs. I think the mana system is responsible for making Magic so replayable. Yes, it can be infuriating. No doubt about it. Sometimes you just lose because you didn't draw your lands at the right time. But I think overall, I see it as one of Magic's biggest strengths, not a problem to solve. This hand, a little bit sketchy after last game where we didn't draw our land number 3 on time. If that happens again, we're gonna be very sad. I think what we're trying to set up here is a extinction event on even that just absolutely ends our opponent's day. Thalia. Man, this is going exactly the same as last game. Opponent. At least we can't draw our one Hive of the Eye Tyrant at the least good time. Let's see what our opponent does here. Hopefully they put the counter on Thalia. They're going to put on Aspirant, so we're going to kill the Thalia. Untap and draw a land. A land. Wasn't meant to be. Luminarch Aspirant. I mean, we're still okay, right? We can kill the Luminarch Aspirant. Sooner or later, we will draw a land. We have an answer to the Vindicator. We still have a sweeper left over. I mean, opponent's obviously just going to play Vindicator, and then we will Heartless Act it. And then we leave our opponent with a not good Dranith Magistrate and a not good Portable Hole. Land! All right, we finally found a land. Unfortunately, we do need to... Actually, do we need to? Is there a world where we let this live and just play the Slasher and take 5? How does this go wrong? They draw another Luminarch Aspirant, put a counter on it, and then we can't kill it. But that does open up just the combo kill. Let's play it safe. We're going to play it safe. Just get rid of the Vindicator. I feel like our opponent's playing a white weenie deck. We have the card advantage. We have the better late game cards. Like, just letting the game... Wow, that's a good draw. Just letting the game go on. That is an insanely good draw. Just letting the game continue, I think, is probably a positive for us. So, opponent, Extraction Specialist. What are we getting? Thalia or Luminarch Aspirant? Gonna go with the Thalia. Well, we will play a Unstoppable Slasher. Pass the turn. Still stuck on land number 3. We have not done a good job of drawing lands this game, like at all. Finds an Elite Spellbinder, which is actually a super good draw for our opponent. It lets them take the Extinction event, and then this Dranith Magistrate could theoretically keep us from playing it. Yeah, there goes the Extinction event. Passing. Gonna block with Extraction Specialist. Well, a slasher number 2. We've drawn almost as many unstoppable slashers as lands. Thank you, opponent. I guess it's nice, although what would be nicer is just hitting our land drop so we can play a normal game of Magic. But yes, I guess drawing 3 drops that we can cast is a nice consolation prize. Portable Hole is not good against our deck. Do we even have a target in our deck? I guess we had the Bank Busters, but we took him out. I'm not sure there's actually a card. I guess we can make a token off of something, but we do not really have things that Portable Hole can hit. Opponent, Granith Magistrate. Gonna lock down the Extinction event. Passes. Well, I mean, came here to do what we want to do, but let our Acklazotz get in with the Slasher. Our opponent must block or have interaction. Unstoppable Slasher might actually just be busted. The unstoppable aspect of it is kind of huge. Like, it just keeps coming back. Opponent, Hopeful Initiate. If they can answer the Bloodletter, that's kind of bad. Uridane. Passes. Let's play an Overgrown Tomb tapped. Next turn, we can go back to slashing. Maybe we just eventually slash away our opponent's creatures and they die. I mean, they can't go too aggro, right? Or they risk the backswing. Well, let's... Each opponent sacking non-token creature. They can't really sack the Dranith Magistrate, or they risk getting Extinction evented. Sacks the Hopeful Initiate, and I think we just take it. They could have a Ganjo. I don't really want to risk the Bloodletter to an Ganjo. 2 slashers is pretty sweet, too. They keep, wow, double blocks. We will kill both of them. And Castle Lockwade, and pass the turn, we might just be wow, Unstoppable Slasher's been so good. Like, the thing is, our opponent's at 22, so it feels like they're in pretty safe territory, when really they are 1 attack away from death. I mean, we're gonna Castle Lockwade, and if we just hit a removal spell, I think we just win. Castle Lockwade, draw a card. Well, play the Field of Ruin. 1, 2, 3. Can you stop it? Opponent's gonna block with Redane. Slasher kills it. Well, now we will Unholy Annex with a demon, draw a card, drain ya for 4, thanks to Bloodletter. That is kind of a cute little synergy. And opponent, you need something. You need something, you need it now. It is just like the horror movie villains. Like, it just won't stop. Unstoppable Slasher lives up to its name, Portable Hole. There are no targets for that. And wow, yeah, opponent did not have the right removal for this one, gives us the GGs, and the Unstoppable Slashing gets the job done. Well, didn't always make it look easy drawing lands, but Unstoppable Slasher is winning my respect. The ability to just keep coming back from the graveyard makes this card very, very scary. Like we saw there, our opponent had what, 4 or 5 creatures at their peak on the battlefield, and we just slowly slash them away, just like a horror movie, except unlike a horror movie, there was no final girl for our opponent to steal the win. In the end, the villain got there. Demons in Pioneer, and this hand got a lot of removal. Hopefully we are not up against blue-white control. My god, that would be the nightmare. Hopefully we're up against Rakdos Prowess. Let's play Rakdos aggro. That would be the dream. Some aggro deck. Alright, does not appear to be an aggro deck. Which of our 4 removal spells would you like, opponent? Take Shield or Edict. Well, we will play a Swamp and pass the turn. Unstoppable Slasher could be decent. Opponent plays a Swamp and passes. Well, land, and let's do a little slashing. Can you kill it, opponent? Can you kill it? Can you kill it twice, actually? Because it will come back. Opponent. Alright, Shield or Edict to get rid of the Slasher for a minute. And a Swamp. Go blank. Well, we will just discard 2 Fatal Pushes. Oh, maybe our opponent's Waste Not. I guess that would make some amount of sense. Wow, there's the Bloodletter too. Too bad we can't cast it. Let's play the Slasher past the turn. It's coming for you, opponent. We are going to assassinate half of your life total. Well, Heartless Act. Destroy the Slasher. Get in with the Slasher. Have ya. Down to 8. If only we could draw land for the Bloodletter. Opponent, land end. Archfiend of the Dross. Can we draw land? Can we draw land? Can we draw land? Can we draw land for the combo kill? Come on, deck. Come on. Field of Ruin. Bloodletter Acklazotz. And I think that should do it, right? Unless our opponent has a 1-mana removal spell, which I don't think they can, an opponent. Whew. Well, that's Demon Power. That's Demon Power in Pioneer. All right, so opponent's playing a deck that also seems to be similar to ours. What do we want? Invoke Despair, probably. They just seem like mono black. They also had Slasher. They gotta be something, they gotta be doing the same type of stuff that we are. So instant speed removal goes up in value. Unconditional instant speed removal especially. Maybe trim a couple Duresses. I could see Extinction Event maybe being worth it. Maybe we trim all the Duresses. Let's try something like that. I mean, game one went well. That's one of the upsides of this deck, right? So we can play like a grindy mono black deck, or we can just turn 4 combo kill when things go right, which is a pretty good place to be. Well, I like this hand. This hand has a lot of value. Well, Surveil Land. We will keep the Mutavault. We do want more lands. We also just have the full combo again. Bandit's Talent. All right, so our opponent's definitely a discard deck. I guess we discard Fatal Push. Well, let's play a Mutavault and pass the turn. Maybe we should have brought in more enchantment removal. Opponent Swamp. And gonna level up. Pass. Well, play the land, and I think we just get down on Unholy Annex. Being able to draw an extra card every turn seems pretty good against the Bandit's Talent deck. All right, we hit land number 4. Opponent, land, and Archfiend of the Dross. Well, that we are going to have to kill. Let's play Blooming Marsh. I think what we do here is just Sheoldred's Edict, sack the Archfiend of the Dross, and then even though we can't attack, one of the weird synergies of this deck is just turning on Mutavault to power up Unholy Annex. So now our opponent loses life. We gain some life, and we get the card still. Opponent, take Numa. Not channeling Take Numa for Archfiend. Well, let's discard I guess an Unstoppable Slasher for now. Well, they entered an Extinction Event anyway. Sheoldred's Edict is pretty good. So we can play the Field of Ruin. We can play a Slasher. I'm not even sure, do we want to kill the Liliana yet? Like, we're drawing cards and our opponent's not drawing cards. We draw a Swamp. I think we actually just wait for now. Like, I think we're okay with our opponent discarding here. All right, so I got through the Slasher for now.
Personal space.
Opponent's going to Thoughtseize. Well, now I guess we do have to get rid of the Liliana. Yeah, maybe it was too greedy waiting. I still really like where we're at, though. So opponent can Thoughtseize Bloodletter or Reckoner Bankbuster, I assume. But we just have so much card advantage that I think we can beat the discard deck just based on the amount of card advantage we have access to. Opponent Archfiend of the Dross. Huh, that is actually a little awkward. Well, let's make a demon. Play a tap land. This, Ritual Chamber and Unholy Annex seems pretty good. Wait till our opponent, one of the nice things about it is we can play it on card advantage mode, and then like this, wait till our opponent's out of cards. And then we can make the 6/6, and now the 6/6 is gonna be insane. Like the 6/6 is great, because it's shutting down this Archfiend of the Dross, and it's also turning on the Unholy Annex, but opponent's gonna keep leveling up the Bandit's Talent. I think we actually just take it. If we just top deck well, oh wait, is that 1, 2, 3, 4? Oh, if we just top deck the Bloodletter, we could just win right now. But what we can do is play the Swamp, go to combat, get in with the Demon, hit you down to 6, and then we'll just pass. But we have this March. Wow, Invoke Despair is an amazing draw here. Opponent, just a land. I mean, opponent's gotta stay on defense. Gonna fire up the Hive of the Eye Tyrant. Sure. Goes to combat. Wow. Has our opponent just given up on life? An opponent scoops it up, and it turns out, if your opponent's trying to make you discard all your cards, you know what's pretty good against that? Apparently, Demons, Unholy Annex. Who would have thought Unholy Annex, the room, making an impact all the way back in Pioneer? It felt really good this game. Like, our opponent's all about just trying to empty our hand, and the ability to just draw an extra card every turn, and it pressures in such a weird way. Like, thanks to Mutavault, it's actually not incredibly difficult to have a demon. And when this is like our opponent's losing life and we're gaining life and we're drawing the card, it's so good. And then we got to see the 6/6 like come through to close out the game. But, well, demons. Oh no, Kahira. All right, well, let's see how the control matchup goes. I don't know if this is a good matchup or a bad matchup for demons, but I like the Unholy Annexes if we can get them down. That's some card draw. No discard. The Fatal Push is bad. The Sheoldred's Edict probably will give us some value eventually. It might be a long one. It might be a long... I mean, I assume they're blue-white control if they have Kahira. Kind of wish we didn't have the Fatal Push, but... Wish we had some discard. That would be the nicest. Let's Overgrown Tomb tap go. The Mutavault's potentially helpful against control. Opponent. Oh, maybe this is the Boros prison deck. It might be our High Noon deck. Well, let's play the Mutavault. Get down Unholy Annex. See if we can start drawing some cards. Somehow we managed to make this Blooming Marsh a tap land. Ugh, alright, opponent has a Get Lost. Alright, unfortunate. We kinda had plans for that. Carrot Cake. Alright, so they're definitely a token deck. To the bottom. And red manas. Well, let's play another Unholy Annex. Get down the Blooming Marsh. Draw a Bloodletter. Okay, that's something. Opponent, Caretaker's Talent. Well, we don't have an answer to that immediately. Opponent hits us down to 17. Interesting. I think we just play the Bloodletter. Use a map token on the Bloodletter. Draw a Mutavault, which is fine. And then this turns on the Annex to drain our opponent for 4, and we get to gain life. And, all right, another Carrot Cake. So opponent's drawing cards, but we can kind of grind, hopefully, with this deck. Opponent draws with the Caretaker's Talent, looking for lands. And opponent passes. Do we just go for it? I think we... Well, let's get in with the Bloodletter. Hit you for 4. I mean, our opponent's missing land drops. I think we just pressure. Play the Archfiend to the draws. Play the Bank Buster. End of turn. Wait, could we have won there? Oh my god, I think we could have won. Oh, I'm so dumb. Oh, wow. Okay, so what we should have done there, I didn't realize how much damage we had there. Because of the doubling with the Bloodletter, and Archfiend making our opponent lose 2 every time one of their creatures dies, we could have just played the Archfiend, killed our opponent's 2 tokens, and won on the spot. Wow, this deck can pour on some damage. Okay, so opponent. Playing the enchantment control deck, the bad news for our opponent is we have very dirty black enchantment destruction. We're also splashing into green exclusively to play 2 back to natures. We are running green mana just to play that card. Is it actually worth it? It's gotta be worth it. It's gotta be worth it, right? They could have the possibility storm shenanigans. I think it's worth it. What is bad? So March of Wretched Sorrow is probably bad. Heartless Axe probably bad. And then maybe a couple Fatal Pushes. Like, I don't know how much killing our opponent's creatures really matters. Plus we have the Edicts, which can get rid of a Planeswalker. Do we want anything else? Like, is Liliana worth it? Maybe? Go Blank's probably fine. You know what? Let's go blank. Let's not Liliana. Let's go blank over the Fatal Push. Do we just go down all the Fatal Pushes? Is that insane? Actually, the Sweepers might be worth it. Maybe go up the Meat Hook Massacre. Let's try it like that. No Fatal Pushes, no targeted removal. I don't know how much killing the tokens is actually worth in this matchup. I feel like they're so replaceable that if we're spending a full removal spell on them, it's probably good for our opponent. Well, let's do some slashing. I like this hand. Thoughtseize into, I guess, nothing, into Slasher, perhaps? Wow, double Annex. Well, let's Hive of the Eye Tyrant and Thoughtseize you. Carrot Cake, March. Well, you know what? We're just going to take the Caretaker's Talent. This does mean our opponent's going to be able to answer our Annexes. And we can't really stop it. Well, tap land. All right, land on black, go. We'll see what our opponent does. If they tap down, we Annex. Ooh, Duress. Well, let's play the Blooming Marsh. And I think we just Slasher here. Our opponent can't march it without pitching a card. Then Get Lost it, but then it's going to come back. They're probably just going to make a 1/1, I guess. They could sack it to draw. All right, opponent's going to make a 1/1. And then next turn, we can Duress plus Unholy Annex. Our opponent... All right, another Carrot Cake. I guess they don't really feel too much pressure to kill it because they can just block it for days. Wow, opponent, Get Lost. Okay. Sure. That is fine. So Slasher down for now. Opponent hits us for 2. But now we get to duress you. Oh god, is that a Chandra? All right, well, we're gonna, yeah, we gotta take the Chandra. Play the Annex. Draw a card, lose 2. Fountain Port, okay. I mean, I imagine our opponent's got to spend their turn marching away the Annex, I would expect. Because we just go land, make a 6/6, and they probably don't want that. Wow, opponent's just going to pass? Let's play the Archfiend to the draws. Play a Field of Ruin. Our opponent might just kill the Archfiend instead. Wow! Okay, that worked out amazingly. Our opponent killing the Slasher is the best thing for us, because now the Annex is freed, we're gaining life, and we get to keep the 6/6. Hopefully next turn we can Field of Ruin away this Fountain Port, perhaps. Maybe Annex can just be a win con. About it. Alright, Caretaker's Talent, that is a good one. Gonna let our opponent start drawing cards. Interesting. I thought they might sack a Carrot Cake, but copying the fish also works. Opponent draws a card. Attacks with everything. Well, we will block a bunny. Drop to 10. Hit you for 2. We find a Mutavault. Wow! And opponent scoops it up. Okay, maybe Demons is busted. It seems like Pioneer decks, a lot of them just seem to struggle against a big demon. And Unholy Annex has been insane. Why are we not playing this card in Standard? Like, this card's been so good. If you could, we have most of the same demons. All of the same demons? We have no Mutavault. That's a big thing we're missing. But we have the same demons in Standard. Why are we not Unholy Annexing? This card seems so good. Like, you do really want demons in your deck, right? Because we want to be draining. But why are we not, like, playing this into Bloodletter in Standard and drain you for 4 and draw a card? There's got to be something here in Standard, too. I mean, if it's working in Pioneer, it should doubly work in Standard. But, yeah, not bad. Pioneer time. I have been absolutely loving Pioneer lately. We had that big round of bannings a little over a month ago. I feel like those bannings in Modern, they were necessary, although, all right, well, let's see how we do against Phoenix. I feel like in Pioneer, they were in Modern, they were necessary, right? To ban Nadu, ban Grieve, but I don't really feel like they fixed Modern. Like, now the One Ring's in 54% of decks, and Energy is incredibly dominant. 30% of the meta or something absurd. So I don't think they really fixed Modern, and we're probably going to need another round of bannings. The next available opportunity in Modern. Pioneer, on the other hand, I feel like the bannings in Pioneer have immensely improved the format. I think they were one of the most successful rounds of bannings that we have had in quite a while. Well, let's get down the Slasher. They need another spell to Fiery Impulse it, and then it will come back eventually. About it, Picklock Prankster. Oh, that is kind of the nightmare. I will say Treasure Cruise, still a card. It's one of those cards that it seems like it should be too good for the format. Just reading it. Although, is it actually too good for the format? I don't know. Like, Phoenix is one of the best decks in the format, but based on the tournament data we've had, it's not, like, breaking the format, at least in the traditional sense. It's a beatable deck, but I think the bannings in Pioneer have been so good. Like, if you're a Rakdos player, Rakdos still exists, but rather than always being Rakdos, Sorin in, Vein Ripper, the Vampire deck, now there's, like, Rakdos Prowess, Rakdos Transmogrify. There's a whole bunch of different versions of Rakdos. Amalia just had to go. Just having that deck not around is just a plus. Are we drawing a new hand? Well, I mean, we do have a little bit of graveyard hate in the sideboard. I mean, we kept a land-heavy hand. We did keep a land-heavy hand. Bone it. Gonna draw a bunch of cards, which was maybe too greedy. Well, here comes the Arclight Phoenix. We really need to draw something this turn. I mean, this is better than nothing. So we can play the Unholy Annex. Play a Castle Lochwain. Actually, should have played the Swamp there. For some reason, I was thinking we already had a Swamp, but we do not. The plan was to fire on the Mutavault, so we gain life instead of losing life, but oops. Thankfully, only one Phoenix so far. Picklock Prankster. Mills some cards. Gets back a Lightning Axe. The other thing about our deck against Phoenix is we are good at making 6 toughness creatures. Like, a lot of our big payoffs are 6 toughness, which are good at dodging Lightning Axe. So maybe that's our biggest, best game plan against Phoenix. Found it. And to the bottom, and draws a card. Are we killing the Slasher? Oh, if this is kill slash or discard Phoenix, that's ugh. All right, that's not great. That's not great. Found it. Some Axis. Well, 2 Phoenix. Well, all right, go room. Let's open the ritual chamber, get a demon, drain you, draw another land. Well, hopefully this 6/6 can hold. We'll see. So our opponent just gonna draw. Oh, man, so many ancestrals. Okay, maybe Treasure Cruise is kind of busted. Opponent gonna go attacking. Well, I mean, we are gonna block a Phoenix. We can't just take it. This does mean our opponent can kill it with some sort of removal. And the Phoenix gonna come back, of course. Yeah, we've drawn a lot of lands this game. Opponent, more Lightning Axe. Please tell me you don't have another Treasure Cruise. That's the thing about Treasure Cruises, is they tend to chain together. And the first one you can kind of survive. It's almost like the One Ring in the sense that the first activation you can survive. The second one you can kind of survive. Yeah, there it is. Opponent. New hand. Opponent, 30 cards in their deck. We have 46. Well, let's duress you. We need our opponent not to have removal, because we need this Mutavault to turn on our Unholy Annexes. So, well, okay, we will pay. And then a Picklock Prankster. Mill some cards. Gets back a Consider. Infinite Treasure Cruises. Yeah, we might just be dead here. Fire up the Mutavault. Down to 12. Play the Mortuary. Surveil. This is a horrible plan, but we're going to try it. We're going to try it. We're going to try it. Drain you. Down to 10. Back up to 10. Our current game plan, which I don't know if it's a realistic game plan. Our opponents just had so many Treasure Cruises. But I think the game plan is to try to burn our opponent out with Unholy Annex and Mutavault. Unclear if that can work, especially if our opponent finds more Phoenixes. They just have... Yeah, I mean, that's the Treasure Cruise thing, right? Our opponent has essentially drawn their deck this game. 23 cards. Maybe they'll mill out. Maybe they'll mill out. Found it. Treasure Cruise. So opponent, Ancestral number 3 this game, draws a new hand of cards. Well, we know another Phoenix is coming. And going to opt to the top. Okay, not ideal. So we're dropping to 4. Runs out of Picklock Prankster. I mean, the question is going to be, do they have removal? Opponent hits us. Down to 4. Heartless Act. So if they have 1 mana removal, it's very bad. There isn't really anything we can do about it, though, right? Let's play the Castle Lockwade. Yeah, I mean, I guess we play the Annex. 1, 2, 3. Play Unholy Annex. Yeah, I mean, this is essentially the game. Fire up the Mutavault. Does it live? If it lives, we got a chance. Our opponent just drew so many cards, though. We need this life? Okay. Are they going to kill it now that they... Okay, up to... Wow, 2 more lands. Okay, 2 more lands, not great, not great. Maybe the Unholy Annex win. I mean, at least we're about done with the Treasure Cruise part of the game, because I think they have used them all. We thought Season 1 and they cast 3, so... We don't have to worry about another one. They've all been used. I mean, opponents went through essentially their entire deck. Opponent going to consider. Another Phoenix for free is definitely an issue. All right, not a Phoenix. That's good. I mean, if we can survive this turn, I think we can win with the Annexes next turn. We can even play another Mutavault to make sure that we have a demon. And I think we get, like, the weirdest win possible. But that is all... If they just cast an Arclight, that would be great. Because then we can just kill it and they're tapped out. Yeah, I mean, let's... Heartless Act of Phoenix. If our opponent wants to Spell Pierce, they can Spell Pierce. All right, Phoenix down. We drop to 4. We draw an Archfiend to the dross. Oh, what if they have 2 removal spells? I guess we just can't do anything about that. 1, 2, 3. Unholy Annex. And then play a Mutavault. 2, 3. Oh, what's our best chance of having a demon? So we can double Mutavault. We can play Archfiend in single Mutavault. 1 Fiery Impulse. 2 Lightning Axes. Fiery Impulse. Ugh. The chances of our opponent having removal is kind of high. All right, let's play the Archfiend. I think Archfiend 1 Mutavault. Because Archfiend doesn't just die to 1 removal spell. So I think this gives us the best chance of keeping a demon on the battlefield. So I need like a Brazen Borrower plus a Fiery Impulse, something like that. We have a demon. Is this actually gonna work? I mean, the game ends here one way or another. Opponent has a Twara, but demon in the mana base. Demon in the mana base. Yes! Unholy Annex. The least likely way to win that game. Unholy Annex is so good. We played it like an Unholy Annex burn deck, and it worked. I can't believe it worked, but it worked. Well, now we get to bring in 2 Hearses, which hopefully we draw, 2 Extinction Events, which hopefully we draw, and a couple of Go Blanks, which we also wouldn't mind drawing. We don't have a clean answer to our opponent just chaining together Treasure Cruises. I guess Unholy or Unlicensed Hearse is as good as it gets there. Let's go down a Heartless Act, go down a Shieldred's Edict. Being able to duress Treasure Cruise is nice. Maybe we go down like a duress or 2. Maybe we go 6 discard spells. Maybe like 1 Bank Buster and 1 more Edict. Well, game 1 was one of the weirdest wins. The more games I play with this deck, the more in love I become with Unholy Annex. The rooms are so cool. They're just such cool cards. We could play Leyline in this deck too. We don't have that much graveyard hate. Actually, it sounds great. Duress, we can Fatal Push like a Ledger Shredder or something. Duress to clear the way into a Go Blank to sweep the graveyard. And we got the Bloodletter for future combo purposes. Let's just start with a tap land. Oh, opponent gonna consider. So we're kind of rooting for our opponent to get a Phoenix in the graveyard somehow so we can snipe it with the Go Blank. That would actually be nice. Opponent land and passes. Well, let's play a Blooming Marsh. Yeah, let's Duress. If our opponent Spell Pierces, they Spell Pierce. Duressing a Spell Pierce actually isn't bad here, which is essentially what that would be. We would like to see our opponent's hand. Wow, okay, that's even better. So we get rid of the hard counter. Opponent has to negate it. Opponent, Shivan Reef, and passing. Well, I mean, play the Swamp and Go Blank ya. See if we got another counter. All right, there's the Spell Pierce. And a Picklock Prankster to find a Treasure Cruise. All right, well, that is sort of disastrous. Man, that is so unfortunate. They needed to have double counterspell to not get absolutely wrecked there, but double counterspell they had. Opponent, Treasure Cruise, draws a new hand. Opponent, and passes. Well, we'll play a Castle Lockway, play a Bloodletter. Well, seeing how many counters our opponent brought in, the Duresses might actually just be worth it. Opponent, Brazen Borrowers, a Bloodletter. At some point, we still need to Go Blank. And runs out the Picklock Prankster. And passes. Let's play the Slasher, make him kill it. Overgrown Tomb tapped. Opponent gonna fire off the Brazen Borrower. Only 1 card in the graveyard right now. Down to 16, sure. Thoughtseize would be a nice draw, or a Dress. Like, something into the Go Blank would be nice. What is our opponent thinking about? All right, Lightning Axe pitching a Treasure Cruise. Interesting. All right, so Slasher down for now. And exiles everything to Treasure Cruise. Well, we're going to get rid of the Brazen Borrower. Opponent draws 3. We will get down an Archfiend to the draws. All right, opponent, there's a 6/6. Can you beat it? Man, this deck is so good at chaining together Treasure Cruises. Well, we're again 3 Treasure Cruises down, so there's only 1 more we got to worry about for the rest of this game. The Archfiend is good. Opponent plays a Ledger Shredder. And Sleight of Hand, gonna do some conniving. Opponent also needs to kill the Slasher again this turn if they want it gone forever, or else it is going to come back. Opponent discards an Opt. It is funny how much Phoenix struggles with 6/6s. 6 toughness is just not what they want to see. All right, opponent gets rid of the Slasher forever with a Fiery Impulse. And Prof's Eidetic Memory to draw a card. And the land. And opponent. Gonna get a couple counters. Can't get through the Archfiend, though. Well, let's Go Blank our opponent. Opponent's gonna Spell Pierce. We will pay. We are going to try to be the aggro. We have a handful of Bloodletter Echozots. Opponent jump blocks. And takes 2. All right, let's see what they find. Opponent untaps and draws. And leaves it on top. Treasure Cruise. All right, second Ledger Shredder. Knives. These Ledger Shredders might be an issue. They're getting big enough to stop this Archfiend. Are we going to lose to our Archfiend? We need to draw a removal spell. Oh, they managed to sneak down the Prophydetic Memory, and that's an issue. Opponent. Wow, getting in. Okay, well, that's actually good for us. Let's Bloodletter of Aklazats. Get in with the Archfiend of the Dross. Takes 4. Down to 10. Passing. Wow, what a draw. What a draw, what a draw. What a draw, what a draw. Fatal Push. Get rid of that Ledger Shredder. Hit you to 6 and taking down Phoenix and Demons. Demons might be legit. Demons might be legit. Our opponent drew all the cards, cast all the cruises, but in the end, it didn't matter. All right, Rat Smacker. This sounds fine. Fine, I think. I mean, we do need to hit another land, but we got Slasher. We got our Unholy Annex, which the more I play this deck, the more I become convinced that Unholy Annex is like the reason to play this deck. Wow. I feel like they might have scooped me up. Opponent's playing the Possibility Stormlock deck, but apparently a single duress is enough to win the game. Well, see you next week. Actually, we'll record another one. That was too easy. They do need to get Pioneer Masters on Arena, though. I know it's weird because, like, technically it's Explorer, but I don't know. I'm just considering them both Pioneer at this point. Close enough. Close enough that it's not worth quibbling over. Yeah, okay. Well, I'm glad we did another one because I assume this is Yarion Enigmatic Incarnation, the deck that we played a bit ago, actually, for Abrew. I'm curious how we do against this deck because this is one of the hot new decks. One of the hottest new decks in Pioneer. How do we hold up against the hottest new deck? Up the Beanstalk. Fable the Mirror. Wow, wait. Is there a way? So we take March. They play Up the Beanstalk, draw a card. We play Slasher. Yeah, I mean, we're going to take the March. We're going to try to win the game. Our brilliant Magic advice for the day. Try to get your opponent's life total to 0. I mean, but I think this could work. So opponent Up the Beanstalk draws a card. They could draw an answer to the Slasher, but they need an answer to the Slasher. So we hit down the Slasher. If their plan is Fable, they have to chump block, or else they die. If our opponent deals with this main phase, then I guess we can play the Annex and start drawing cards and go that direction. Opponent. Tap land. Okay, so Roaring Furnace. So that'll get rid of the Slasher for now. I think we actually just keep the pressure on. Archfiend of the Dross. Demon, number 1. Archfiend into Bloodletter is still a lot of damage. It's not lethal, but hit you for 12 is still a big number. So this has got to be an Enigmatic Incarnation deck, but I think this is a different version of it. Our version definitely did not have Titan of Industry. The question is, do we go for it? How much do we go for it here? We could just play Bloodletter hit them, but then if they Wrath, it's so bad. I'm kind of tempted to just Annex. Well, let's play Overgrown Tomb tapped. You know what? I think we just got to deal the damage. Bloodletter, 12, yeah. Down to 8. I mean, put the pressure on. Put the pressure on. Opponent, find the answer or die. That's where we're at. Opponent, find the answer or die. The Slasher is also unlocked. Slasher's back. Bloodletter of Aklazats might actually just be an underrated card. I know it's gotten some hype, but it still might be underrated. Like, it can deal so much damage. Cannot get to the Titan of Industry this turn, which is nice. They can get in and make a treasure. We are not going to block. They could have some silly damage-based removal. All right, show us the Sunfall opponent or something similar. They have to deal with... Wow, can't do it. Yeah, too many threats. Too many threats. And demons pouring on the damage. Well, Invoke Despair in. Withering Torment in. The question is back to nature. So, the Titan of Industry is throwing me off. They have to be an Enigmatic Incarnation. There's no way. With Yarion and what we saw, it's got to be an Enigmatic Incarnation. The question is there any chance they're an old build that is not playing the Overlords? If they're playing the Overlords, Back to Nature's a ridiculous bomb. You know what? Let's go down the Fatal Pushes. A Back to Nature. A Liliana. The Fatal Pushes seem bad. March also seems kind of sketchy. Oh, let's put the difference for now. Let's go with Go Blank. We'll bring in one of everything. So at least we have the option that we could find a Back to Nature should it be the right matchup. I'm just not sure. When we played the Overlord Incarnation deck, we did not have stuff like Titan of Industry. Wow, this could just be a fast combo kill. I mean, this is what makes the deck exciting, right? Like, we can play like a weird mono black mid-range deck with a bunch of demons and card draw and removal, or we can just be like turn 3 Slasher, turn 4 Bloodletter Aquazats. If you can't deal with it, you're dead, and we have the discard to hopefully force it through. Opponent's gonna start on the tap land. Well, we will start with Overgrown Tomb untapped and Duress You. See what we're up against here. Leyline Binding up the Beanstalk, Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Yeah, let's take the Fable. I think what we're trying to set up is a Back to Nature blowout. Letting our opponent draw these cards is kind of annoying, but... Bloodletter of Aquazats. Well, play the Castle Ogwayne past the turn. What we'd really like to set up, and I don't know how realistic this is going to be, is our opponent Leyline Binding our Slasher, and then end of their turn, Back to Nature, blow it up, untap, Bloodletter, kill ya. Well, there's Slasher. We know they can Leyline Binding it. I guess we should have brought in both Back to Natures. They're looking pretty good. Wow, opponent just cycles Aspara's Headquarters. Sure. I mean, the dream could come true. Up the Beanstalk, number 2 draws a card. And a Triome. And then passes. Well, I mean, go to combat, get in with the Slasher. Opponent Leyline Bindings. Draws 2 cards. Yeah, this isn't great. But what we can do, this might even be better. So with that on the stack, we can just Back to Nature. Blow it all up. Hit ya. Down to 8. And the pressure's on. The pressure's on. Opponent did get to draw a bunch of cards, unfortunately. We missed our land drop, unfortunately. But we slash in. Elspeth Conquers Death. Okay, so that can get rid of the Slasher. Well, there's a land. Well, Overgrown Tomb untapped. And Bloodletter of Aquazats. Pass the turn. Opponent taking it up. So we don't quite have lethal here. I think this Elspeth Conquers Death is going to do nothing. All right, opponent, March of Otherworldly Light. Well, we will Bloodletter of Aquazats. Elspeth Conquers Death goes away. Oh, we're so close. We are so close to one Slasher hit to get our opponent down to 8 was so big. Opponent, untap land down to 4. Titan of Industry. Oh, they're going to gain life, though, aren't they? If they don't gain life, they lose. Wow, Sheoldred's Edict's going to pay off here. Sheoldred's Edict. Each opponent sacks a non-token creature, like a Titan of Industry. Hit you with a Bloodletter of Aquazats. Down to 5. Needs another answer. Bonnie Paul Clearcutter. That is an answer. That is a pretty good answer. And a tap land, opponent passes. Well, we will play a Mutavault. I think we just... 1, 2, 3. Unholy Annex. Hit you for 4 down to 1. Draw a Castle Ogwayne. Opponent. Cycle. Are we going to get another... We have won a shocking amount of games with Unholy Annex damage. Like a truly odd number of games. By burning our opponent out with Unholy Annex. Nylea's Presence to draw a card. Sure. Opponent needs to find something. Or they do just die. Wow. That is the end of Platinum. And this deck. So I know I lost a game. So we're up to Diamond. I know I lost a game before I started recording. Let's look at our untapped stats and see. I believe we only have lost a single game with this deck. And we got all the way through Platinum. Where do we go with Mono Black Demons? Oh, 6 and 2. All right, so we went 6 and 2. 5 and 0 once I started recording. And the deck actually feels really, really oddly good. So on one hand, like, yes, obviously we're playing the good cards, right? We get the Thought Seizes and we get the Fatal Pushes. And those are just like foundational level good cards in Pioneer. So you might be like, okay, yeah, it's not a surprise. Of course, you got those good cards in it. The part that surprised me about this deck is how good the uncommon cards are. Yes, we know the discard and the removal is good in black. That's one of the reasons to play black, is you get those cards. What floored me in this deck? So number one, Unstoppable Slasher. The card's actually really good. The card's actually really, really good. It looks a little slow where you kill it and it comes back with the stun counters, but in reality, it just pressures in such a weird, hard to deal with way that it eventually like turns into this weird abyss where opponents gotta like throw away their creatures. We saw this, I think, the most against the mono white deck, where opponent had all these like white weenie creatures, but eventually we had two slashers and they kept blocking and killing them, but eventually we just slashed away their board and then slashed away their life total and won the game. So Unstoppable Slasher, very impressive. The card that really surprised me though, Unholy Annex Ritual Chamber. So when I saw this, I was like, all right, yeah, I mean, that's pretty sweet. We get to draw some cards if we have a demon, we maybe deal a little damage. For 5 mana, we can make a 6/6, which is fine, but not like busted in Pioneer or anything. What floored me though is just how good this card was at burning our opponent out of the game. Like, yes, weird version of a Phyrexian Arena makes sense. A weird token producer makes sense. The part that got me though is like we killed a lot of opponents just by having a demon, even better if it's a Bloodletter to double up the drain, and just like draining our opponent with this card. It was like a legit win con. When our opponent's taking 2 from this, especially with Bloodletter or stacking on multiples, it's actually a legit clock. If you look at our Phoenix game, we actually just won game 1 of that Phoenix match by drawing a bunch of Unholy Annexes and just kind of like staying alive and keeping a Mutavault on the battlefield. And we managed to like gain enough life and train our opponent enough that it actually just ended up winning us the game. So Unholy Annex is the card that really surprised me. I thought this was going to be like, kind of a janky filler level, whatever. Like, it draws us some cards. It's fine. Maybe we sideboard it out sometimes. But after playing it, now I feel like Unholy Annex is like the card of this deck, the reason to play the deck. The other thing, and I mentioned this during the recordings, is the other thing that I think makes this deck really good is we can function perfectly fine without the combo. Like, the most explosive thing we can do is turn 3 Slasher, turn 4 Bloodletter, hit you with Slasher, win the game. Like, that's very explosive, very exciting. But what makes this deck, I think, really good is how well it worked when we weren't doing that. Like, obviously, when we do that, it's absurd. But when we weren't doing that, and we were just kind of like grinding and casting some discard and casting some removal and draining you with a Unholy Annex and playing a super fair, weird demon game plan, the deck still functioned, and I think that's what makes the deck really strong, is we can play like this weird demon black mid-range deck, but we also have this Splinter Twin style, oops, you didn't block the Slasher and now you're dead style combo, which I think makes this a really, really good deck. So if you like the idea of demons, and you like grinding out value, and you like combo kills, I would definitely recommend this deck. Also, one final shout out, you should probably try playing some Explorer Pioneer, because I think the format is in just such an amazing spot right now. If you look at the metagame, and I promise I'm not going to make this wrap up go forever, but if you look at the metagame right now, yes, Rakdos Aggro, by the numbers, is a bit on the steep end at like 19%, although I don't know if this holds up as much in paper, and if we look at the more recent percentages, it is dropping. Like, there was this huge burst of Rakdos Aggro, but it's been falling back down to normal. But I think that since the latest bannings, I have really, really been impressed with how Pioneer is played. Like, the fact that people were worried about Phoenix, and Phoenix is just a good deck, not the best deck in the format. The fact that now, instead of just Rakdos Fan Players 35% of the time, or whatever it was, some percentage of the time you'll play Rakdos midrange. Sometimes you'll play, a Rakdos aggro deck. Sometimes you'll play Rakdos Transmogrify. It's just made the format so much more diverse. You have aggro, you have combo, you have midrange, you have control. Like, Pioneer's in a really, really good spot right now. So if you've been on the fence about trying Explorer on Arena or Pioneer and Paper on Moto, definitely recommend giving it a try, because I think since the latest round of bannings, the format's just in an amazing spot. I know Standard is also good right now, especially if you're playing best of 3. Modern, I'm kind of meh on Modern, just like, like if you look at the most recent data, 31% Boros energy, the One Ring everywhere. But I feel like Pioneer, and I've mentioned this before, it's Modern when Modern was at its best. I feel like that's where we're heading. Not exactly, obviously, because, new design philosophies, it's 10 years later. But if you just look at the card pool, we should be going into the golden age of Pioneer. And my experiences with this format lately makes me think that might actually be coming true. So all this to say, play some Pioneer. It's really sweet. And if you're looking for a deck to play, try some Mono Black Demons, because the deck is also really, really sweet. You get to play cool new cards, you get combos, you draw tons of cards, you grind people out, you get to play demons. So anyway, everyone, that's been Demons for Pioneer. That's been our deck for today. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you all enjoyed it. And I will talk to you soon.